What in the world are we all doing here?
Welcome everyone to the first episode of the Cowgirl Channel of Canada. We're so excited to share with you this special interview with one very special Canadian cowgirl, Kateri Cowley. Kateri grew up in the beautiful Rocky Mountains of Alberta. Her home is Rafter Six Ranch. Kateri has had an adventurous childhood growing up on a guest ranch, surrounded by a herd of horses. Later in life, Kateri attended the Olds College in Alberta and studied an intense 2-year equine studies program. Shortly after that, she moved to Texas to gain some experiences in the cutting horse industry and to add to her already amazing resume as a horse trainer. Kateri has also contributed to the film industry as a wrangler and even a stunt double. In 2009, Kateri was crowned the Calgary Stampede Princess. During this interview, Kateri and I talk about her life experiences. She shares some fantastic stories of her life as a cowgirl in Canada, living on a ranch in the heart of Alberta. We share many laughs and truly enjoy our conversation. Kateri is an amazing woman, a wife and a friend, and also a crazy awesome horse trainer. Her philosophies of life and horsemanship are beyond comparing. She truly is one of a kind. Please welcome my dear friend, Kateri Cowley.
Thank you so much, Lori. I'm really excited to be here with you, and excited that this is a kickoff season for the Cowgirl Channel of Canada.
Thank you. I'm so excited about this too. This is going to be so much fun. You and I have discussed over some different conversations that we've had about, us girls that grow up in the ranch or farming life, and we're really blessed because we get to have different experiences. So tell us a little bit about your early childhood and growing up, because I know from you telling me some of these great adventures of you just being born on a ranch and growing up on a ranch and having that lifestyle, how you have different stories to share and different experiences at an early age.
I guess it has been an interesting way to be raised on a guest ranch where I was raised by a herd of 80 horses and people from around the world every day, all day, my entire life. And it's really brought a lot of perspective into my life of how to communicate with people of all different backgrounds, and also horses of different backgrounds as well. And just basically what it really always came down to was the ability to share my lifestyle with the whole world.
Yeah, that's super cool, because I know that you've shared a couple of things with me, and it's every day, right? It's not seasonal per se, or every now and then. You had exciting things and exciting people coming in and out of your life at a really early age, and just growing up on a ranch, and kind of a little bit different than other people that are just kind of more secluded and have a farm and just kind of do their own thing. You guys had a lot of people there, so you got to meet a whole bunch of people and do different things in your early childhood years, and a lot of kids would ever even dream of doing. So that's kind of cool.
yeah, for sure. It is pretty unique, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about Rafter Six and where it's located, because it's such a beautiful place, and I know you have people come there from all over the world, literally, right?
Yeah. So we're actually right in the tourism corridor of Canada, from right between Calgary and Banff, Alberta, almost dead smack in the middle, right? The foothills of the Canadian Rocky Mountains. And it's some of the best riding, in my opinion. I've rode quite a few places, but I think this is some of the nicest riding area in all of Alberta. And it's very easily accessible, and we've been serving the public for well, my family for almost 50 years now.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And you guys you do a little bit of everything. You're not just having guests at your ranch. So you guys are like really actively involved in the equine industry in the heart of Calgary. Like I know you guys have competed there, and you've been at the Calgary Stampede, and you guys Rafter Six represents in the parade and stuff like that. Like you guys are actively involved. And I remember you actually took me on a tour at a museum there when I was at one of the last times I was out in Alberta, and it's like you guys are into everything in that area. Like your family is like a staple of the equine industry in Calgary, Alberta, like just outside of it. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The Calgary Stampede has been one of a huge part of our lives. Like just last year, my dad celebrated his 80th consecutive Calgary Stampede parades, where he was riding in the parade, and which I think is a milestone way beyond. I don't know anyone else who has that kind of record.
Yeah.
And for me, I guess last year they didn't have the Stampede, so
yeah.
But I was also crowned the Calgary Stampede Princess in 2009, and I did Ranch Girls, which is the grand opening of the rodeo.
Oh wow!
At the end, I also competed in the Cowboy Up Challenge, which is extreme cowboy racing. If you're not familiar, it's really worth a look up, and where the best riders in the world come and compete at the Calgary Stampede. And in 2014, actually, we were the first women. I was the first woman to win the Stampede.
Yeah, and that's only one of like several different accomplishments that you've obtained in your very early life. In regards to what you offer, and I think now actually you're actually a Cowboy Up Challenge judge, in fact, as well, right?
Yeah, I do enjoy judging, but my favorite is teaching. I love getting people to have that connection with their horse, because I think that it's such a fun sport, and it's such an amazing way for horses and riders to really connect.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, and you're actively involved. Well, less what's going on now with the pandemic and across the world, and how it's affecting every industry and the world in general. It's everything is kind of slowed and quieted down, but on a regular basis you're actively involved in all different types of things, not even just out west. Like you've traveled extensively as well and done other different things, so tell us a little bit about that, about your growth when you actually started to get into your early adult life, and kind of some of the things that you did. I know that you did some equine studies at the Olds College there in Alberta. So can you tell us a little bit about that equine course that you did?
Yeah, sure. It was a course that was held at Olds, and at the time it was the third in North America, and it basically puts you in line to be an equine professional, whether you wanted to go into business, breeding, English discipline, Western discipline. And of course I chose the Western.
Yeah.
And it really, like, I went from being a trail rider and not knowing what a lead was, and coming out as a professional horse trainer. It was a 2-year program and very intensive, and I loved it. It was hard work, but it really set me up. I left shortly after Olds to go to Texas.
Wow.
To do kind of like an internship there, and I started as a loper, and I left as a 2-year-old colt starter for the futurity. So it was a pretty awesome time in Texas as well, and I got to go to the futurity and experience that, and it was incredible. It was such a jump start to the career, and I always knew that I was going to do cowgirl stuff, but I had no idea that it was going to be on such a grand scale.
Did the college prepare you to handle what you experienced when you got out there in the real world?
Oh, certainly, yeah. It was a great program for sure, and I'm really thankful that I got to be a part of it. I'm I'm not sure if they're still offering that program now, but if you do have an opportunity to train under a trainer, especially something that's more intensive than, once a week, like if you can go every day, then it really does help set your mind up and give you the confidence and the skills required to be able to move forward. But then also you're always evolving your skills throughout your entire career. That never changes.
Yeah, I think the program is still active, and they do still offer the two different disciplines. You can choose English or you can choose Western, because I have a friend of mine, and her daughter started her first year last year at the Olds College, and she's doing Western, and her best friend, and they're from Newfoundland, and her best friend went and did the English. So they're both there, and they're both staying I guess in the residence, and they're having both a totally different experience, I guess. There, I really haven't spoken to either one of them. Maybe I'll get them on this podcast, but one is doing English discipline and one is doing Western. So I think for them, and they went from the East Coast all the way out west, so I think it's important that, education, of course, is a really big deal. And if what you did and what they're doing kind of sets you up so that you're really, when you get out there and you get in the real world, doing the things or what you're passionate about, you'll find it a lot easier if you've got that base, right?
Yeah, for sure. Any education that you can take with you, anything that you've learned along the way, is definitely going to be worth it at some point or another. Whether you keep the same style or if you change your style a little bit, just the biggest thing is never quit learning.
Yeah.
When you feel like you know it all, that's when you should quit.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. So some of the things that have changed in your life after those points, those are all what we would more or less call stepping stones, our education and getting out into the work field. And so what were some of the things that were happening for you as a cowgirl, and in your life as you started to turn that page into adulthood? And what were some of the different things that you found and look back and said, that was a real growth experience for you, something that happened to you in your life? So what some of the things that we experience as we're going through, and you and I have talked about this before, you can kind of look back and reflect and say that was something that really changed and grew me as a character, as a person.
Yeah, well, for sure. I guess when I first started starting colts, it was kind of I couldn't wait to get on. I was very impatient, and I just day one, they would be saddled up and I'd be on their back. And one of the things I learned is the value and importance of groundwork, and how that really does change it. Makes it so much easier in the long run for both you and your horse, because they understand it a whole lot better. They can still see you and read your body language from the ground, and you can get incredible finesse work from the ground before you ever actually get on the horse. And then once you do get on, it's like they've done it for years and they just understand it a whole lot better. So that was something that I really learned. I'd say probably a little bit later in life, and it was something that I was always trying to go towards. But when I worked with Dan James and realizing he's an incredible horse starter and horse trainer, all performer, everything. Mm-hmm. And when I was talking to him, and he said sometimes he'll groundwork for 3 months before he gets on the horse. And those horses know how to do flying lead changes. They know how to do all kinds of impressive tricks, and in a very short period of time. And then once he gets on, it's they know what they're doing. And I can attest to that because I helped him start some colts in Kentucky for the racetrack. And I was very impressed at how well those colts were coming along for such a short period of time. Yeah, it's amazing when you get their mind. It's just and you build that bond and that trust with them, and it's wow, right? You have such a great
it becomes a dance. It's so cool. I love it myself. Yeah, that's amazing. So looking back now, I mean, and that was, X amount of years ago for you in doing that work. How has that like changed how you are today?
Oh yeah, well, I've definitely incorporated a whole lot more groundwork, and I guess it's really has helped shape a little bit more of my equine experience and how I relate to the horse. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey. Always learning. There's no matter how good you are, you can always be better. That's that's always a good saying.
We're always learning, and we're always trying to improve, and myself included. It's a journey, and it's so wonderful to be able to experience something new, or to step outside your comfort zone and to get into a different branch off of what you're trying to experience in life, but do it kind of safely, of course. Always, I tell people. But you've done, and speaking of safety, you've done some pretty interesting things in your career, growing into your adulthood, and your trip out to Texas, and then your college and your school. But you also did some interesting things with film and the film industry, right? You were a stunt double.
yeah, for sure. My first stunt job was actually for the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, the Olsen twins.
Wow.
For a movie they shot out here when I was 8 years old. I was riding through the woods for one of the twins, and I thought it was just the best because I got to skip school for the day, and I made $20
Woohoo!
to go riding. So that was my very first, I guess, stunt riding, even though it wasn't that impressive. And I suppose later on in life, I kind of came back into the industry, and I found myself all of a sudden I was working as a wrangler alongside Brad Pitt and Casey Affleck. And then I was working on Heartland. And I started out there as a wrangler. I was teaching some of the actors how to ride, and then I was full-time on the show as a wrangler. And then after that, it was shortly after that I became a stunt double for Lou, the sister of the main character.
Yeah, Michelle Morgan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was a perfect show to work on because it really lines up with my life as well, and life on a ranch in Alberta.
Diversified in what you're doing, so you actually, as a genuine cowgirl from Alberta, you've gone out to Texas, you've done the schooling, and so you're working now in the film industry, as a stunt double and a wrangler and stuff like that. Isn't it the coolest thing ever how diversified and how many different parts of the equine industry that there are? There's so many things out there. I think you mentioned something when you were in Texas about, I'm not sure, maybe it was, could be mistaken, that you did something about at a breeding facility or something along those lines. But there's so many different jobs or careers or different lines of work that you can be involved in if it's to do with the equine industry. Not only the equine industry, like with just regular everyday farming, like fencing and so forth. And there's so many different career paths for young women, or women that are seasoned women that are getting into this industry, into the cowgirl or into the ranching or the farming industry. It's such an amazing way of life to be involved in the Western way of life, and it goes on for forever. It's amazing. So you're so young, so you have so many more different things that you're going to probably do. So what are some of the things that you dream of doing, or you aspire to do as other parts of your career now, like where you're at in your life now?
Well, actually, I wanted to add something to your saying about how far you can go. I have a cool story about that. I took a young gal out for a ride many years ago, and we were talking about horses and careers with horses, and I said, you're so not limited. I know some women that are farriers and very successful farriers, and I left it at that. I didn't speak with that young gal for again, and then one day I was looking for a farrier, and I put a call out to come and farrier for me, and this young gal, now an adult that had graduated also from Olds years later, she tells me the story that I was the one who inspired her to become a farrier.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So no doubt I had to hire her, and yeah, she's incredible. So yeah, you're certainly not limited in the equine world, which really does open up. You can't get bored. That's what I love about it. There's always something that you can do to improve, to gain more skills, and yeah, it's just I just love this the equines and what they can actually teach us as people as well. So for me, moving forward, I'm at a place in my life where I really am loving teaching. I love everything about it. I love watching the connections with people and their horses. I love sharing what I know. I try to give everything that I have been able to obtain over the years, what the horse has given me, what other people have given me, and giving that away, because my dad always taught me, if you have something wonderful, you give it away, you share it, and that's the important part of life. And I really took that to heart, and I believe it. And if I can make people even more better than I am, I'd be so pleased to see that happen as well.
Yeah, for sure. And you do that for me. And just to go back to your dad, because I do know you, and I know your dad. One of my first experiences with him was, he had me in tears. That year I performed at the Calgary Stampede, and he called you, and you were saying that I was visiting with you, and you passed over the phone, and he's talking to me. He said, I saw your performance. He said you did a great job and everything. And I was just totally blown away. He brought me to tears. I was so humbled by his sweet words, and just a fantastic person. And it just kind of goes to show too, it's the lifestyle that you live when you're a cowgirl or you're a farmer's daughter or anything like that. We're so blessed. We're so blessed because we live such a humble life, and we get such a great opportunity to learn life in a different manner. And I always sometimes say in a harder way, but I think for people like us, and having parents like our moms and our dads that help us learn how to handle those hardships in life, that's one of the most amazing things that they give us. They really do get us to kind of cowgirl up, and you're okay, you're going to get through it, right? And having them in the back wing and having that support about your family is amazing. And I know you and your family have gone through all kinds of challenges, and it's so great to see that you guys spend so much time together. It's such a beautiful thing that you have your family like you do.
Oh yeah, thank you. I do agree, and I'm so honored that that we can touch people's lives, and especially someone like you, Lori. That's amazing, for sure.
Thank you. I just love it. I love you guys. So we've gone through some of these things. I just gotta go back. I've been waiting for forever to ask you this, and I'm like, if I ask it now, we're doing this recording, I'll have it for forever. What was it like to work with Brad Pitt?
Well, yeah, it was great. It was one of my first big feature films that I got to work on, and I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him for sure, but yeah, it was more adjusting stirrups and you know what I mean, getting him on his horse and off his horse and adjusting stirrups. And
wow, so that's pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was actually very kind. Surprisingly, for such a big star, you would think that he was just someone nice to talk to. Yeah.
Wow. That's fantastic. So I'm going to just kind of give you an opportunity and leave it kind of like almost like an open forum for you to kind of just tell us a little bit about anything that you want to talk about. Or it doesn't have to be anything specific. It could be about your horsemanship. It could be about your family. It could be about your friends, your future, your past. What's something that you'd like for our listeners to know about you and about what you're doing or what you're going to do or what you've done, and just something that maybe it's a story that you want to share?
Okay, well, a story I want to share. there's so many, and that's very broad. So, I guess, like, I don't know how to answer that.
It's okay. Well, you know what? We can always go back to that. Let's talk about. And I mean, some of the stuff that you've already said has been pretty amazing. Like, I mean, like what you've done so far in your life and the things that you've accomplished in such a short period of time, and you have so much ahead of you in your future. You know, what's some of the things that you would say, because you've already said them already in your stories, but what's some of the things that you would say to a young woman that's aspiring to be a cowgirl or a horsemanship trainer, or someone that wants to work on a ranch, like something like yourself? Like if you had someone, and I know that you sometimes do have young people that'll contact the ranch and want to come and work there for the summer and stuff like that. What's something that you would tell, an inspiring cowgirl that wanted to, like, what's some advice that you would give her about what to do for the next steps if she's a young woman and she wants to get more invested into the equine industry?
Oh yeah, well, that's also a loaded question, because there's just so much that you can teach and share with each person, and every person is very individual. But I think some of the biggest stuff is like, and it sounds so broad, but don't give up. There's going to be some incredibly tough days, and if you've got your mindset and you have your goal, you have to keep going, as no matter how hard it gets. You think that, oh man, this is too tough for me and I'm going to give up. Maybe it's finances or something that's really difficult to go through, just not making a breakthrough with your horse or whatever it is. But don't give up, because usually when you're feeling like you're at your breaking point, that's when the goal is in sight. So to keep pushing through that and work hard, and like I say, just never stop learning. It's so important to keep an open mind, an open heart, and always listening to what the horse has to say, because the horse is ultimately what's going to be your judge, not the people. It's not going to be like, you don't have to be the prettiest sitter on a horse. It's how you feel to the horses that's going to make the biggest difference. And so never stop listening and learning, and even if it's bad advice, still take it into context. Yeah. But there's so much that you can teach a young person, and it really does go into depth, and you can actually bring somebody out with encouragement and positive reinforcement, just like you would with training a horse. And I love to work with the young people to help them to understand that too. Yeah. So sometimes, and that's fantastic, it's great advice. And even though you said it's broad to answer it or to kind of put a cap on that, but it's really important that, the first thing that you said is don't give up, right? It is hard, and life is hard in general, and then some of the things that you experience, some of the best things that you experience are some of the most difficult things that you do, and you do go through them, and you kind of look back and say, wow, that was pretty tough, that was pretty difficult, that was a bit challenging, and I got through that, so I'm becoming more confident that I can handle more. And that's great advice, because it's a familiar and it's necessary for everybody. It doesn't matter how young the person is, and it doesn't matter at what point it is in your life either. That's great advice for somebody
for you to give to me, like, and that's literally how I took it when you said it. It's like, don't give up. And I'm like, yeah, I won't. And so that's important. And I think one of the things and the reason why I wanted to do this, not only just honoring women in the equine industry and the way the Canadian cowgirl and how we're so resilient, and there's so many things that we have that we can share to each other, if it's just a piece of advice or a conversation or knowledge, like you just talking about the Olds College, the equine courses. I mean, I know full hand that that probably is a very fantastic familiar for you, and for you to be able to have the knowledge of what you experience from there, and for someone to pick up the phone and ask you your advice or your experience, that's priceless, because you've gone through those things, right? You left and you went out to Texas, you worked and you came back, and you have experience in the film industry. So all of that advice and all that knowledge that you have to share to somebody else it's priceless information. And I think that's why I tried or I'm trying to create this platform of a place where I can gather everybody together and their stories, and share their information, your website and we'll get all your contact information here towards the end. But it's a part of the life of being a cowgirl, and it's a part of your life of being a woman. It's a part of the life of living in Canada. And the way we're very gracious, and we try so hard, but it's a very unique thing to be a cowgirl, I think, and to live that life. And I think there's so much resilience in it, and I think it's often that it needs to be if we all kind of hold each other's hands just a little bit more and share those stories and network, I think it's so important. And that's one of the things that I love about with you and I. We kind of get lost in our conversations and chat and stuff like that, but we do tend to network quite a bit. And we both recently did a podcast interview with Let Freedom Reign, and Jason was fantastic, and I got in contact with him because you kind of referred me and stuff. But it's a wonderful feeling knowing that I can put this together, and that if someone hears your story on here or whatever, maybe they had an idea about getting involved in stunt work, in the equine industry, and they have just that one question, and you're the right person at the right time to answer it. So thank you so much for sharing some of your stories and making yourself accessible through this podcast and this interview, so that if someone's out there and they are looking for information, they can pick up the phone and they can call you, or they can email you.
Absolutely. Yeah, or better yet, just come on out.
Yeah.
Come on out and ride with me for a couple hours. I'd love to share more experiences and see where people are coming from. And I like I say, it's just that to me is a great gift, is to be able to share it. So yeah, absolutely, Lori. It's hard work, and my life, it sounds like it's all beautiful and perfect, but it certainly has been a challenge throughout it. Yeah. Many challenges, and I feel like I could write the next 3 years of Heartland myself. So with how much drama I go through. It is a spectacular lifestyle, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I know it's really hard work, and sometimes it is really draining, but it's the horse and the people and that always bring you back to who you are, really, truly, deeply.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I always, it's always such a pleasure when you and I get a chance to talk, and I'm so honored that it's you. You're my first podcast for the Cowgirl Channel of Canada, and Yahoo! I'm so happy to have you here with me, and not just for this, just as a part of my life. And I feel like if I can connect one more person and give them the opportunity to have you a part of their life, they're a very lucky person, for sure. And I hope and I know that that's a for sure, because I find we find each other. We do. We find each other in some of the weakest moments in our lives, and in some of the strongest moments in our lives, that we find each other. And that's what we need more in this world today than ever before. And even though there's a pandemic, and even though there's restrictions and distance between people, you know, we're always going to be the same. You know, we're going to cowgirl up and go feed our horses and feed our cattle and do our jobs, and in the spring fix fences and do whatever. And being able to get through this a little bit more together, and for me to be able to honor people like you that have given so much to the equine industry, so much to not just the equine industry, to everybody, and just in general, to your family and to all your friends. It's an honor to have you on, and I really appreciate your time. And do you want to go ahead and maybe you could give us your contact information, and maybe a website where people can reach out and contact you?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm the only Kateri Cowley on the internet, so as far as I know. So, well, unless it's bad stuff, then it's somebody else. Just kidding. So yeah, you can look me up on Facebook or Instagram. My name is Kateri, Kateri, and last name is Cowley.
Perfect.
And yeah, you can find me on Facebook. I respond to messages. Sometimes it takes me a couple days, but I will respond. And yeah, and rafter6.com, raftersix.com is where I live and where I work, and we can meet up. Exactly. It's a really wonderful place to bring your family, or just come out by yourself and come for a horseback ride. We take people of all riding levels, all ages. So if you're never seen a horse before and you want to come ride with us, we can accommodate you. Or if you're an advanced show jumper and Grand Prix, yeah, we'll still give you a good time. So yeah, just come ride with us, and yeah, I'd be so honored and happy to have you out.
That'll be perfect, and thank you. And I'm going to actually add all of your contact information. It'll be on the link and on the website for people to reach out to you and connect with you. And yeah, just to talk a little tiny bit about your home sweet home, Rafter Six. My goodness, I think I've been out there a couple times now with you and stayed there with you guys, and yeah, it's one of the most peaceful, if not the most peaceful place on this beautiful planet that we have, and in our beautiful country, Canada. It is it's another home for me, and I think that's, people always say that. And I remember when I was a little girl listening to a song, you know, it's called "The Heart Isn't Where the Home Is," or it's the heart is all, your heart is where the home is. It doesn't matter where your home physically is, it's your heart is there, right? And I know that your heart is there, and you know, I'm with you sometimes too, and I think about you know, I can't wait to get back there and get back riding and doing some stuff. One of the fun things that we did the last time I was out was we were deworming the whole herd in the spring. that was a very long day, but it was so much fun. But it's just a wonderful place for anybody to be, even if they just come and have a tea and have a hello with you. It's just a fantastic place to be. And thank you so much for opening up your heart and your home and your ranch and talking to us today. I loved having you here, and I love talking to you all the time. But it's nice that I can give the general public and some other people a place to reach out to you, so that they know who you are, what you've done, and what you're going to do, because it's going to be lots.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I love that. Home is where the heart is. I love that saying. That's a good one.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. And you know what? I just to let our audience know, you and I had talked about it. And when we can and when the opportunity comes, we're actually going to be doing a sit-down live filmed interview when I get back out to the ranch. So I'm excited to do that. It's always fun hanging out with you. And so yeah, we just keep people informed as to an ETA of when we actually do that. So people stay tuned for a live interview or an film interview at Rafter 6 in the Rocky Mountains at Kateri's home. So that'll be fun, and I'm excited to do that. So thank you again.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm so thrilled. Thank you so much for having me out, Lori. I really appreciate it, and congratulations on this brand new adventure.
Oh.
This is so exciting and a great step for the Canadian cowgirl world.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.